Oh, the mistake, and McBreen's clean through on goal here to win it. What a miss from Daniel McBreen.
Fucking dog shit.
G'day everyone, and welcome back to A-League Off Air. Now, I have a little bit of a mea culpa to get out of the way before we start. The last two episodes, I've been perhaps, getting a little overly positive around the league and, falling into a few stereotypical best league in the world, peak A-League and all of this sort of thing, and how great and thrilling it all is. So last weekend was just a nice little reminder, I think for myself, obviously, but also for everyone else, that you can't take anything for granted in this life, particularly when it comes to football, and expectations can be the most cruel and deceiving thing of all. Round 16 will not live long in the memory. We still have one game left because Brisbane versus Adelaide has been pushed back 2 months because of the monster trucks at Suncorp Stadium, which just is it is perfectly fitting to this introduction that's the reason why we only had 5 games, and we only had 8 goals scored in those 5 games. We had a 6th scoreless draw of the season. That was between Wellington Phoenix, surprise, surprise, and the Central Coast Mariners, surprise, surprise. Those two sides have both only scored 15 goals, incidentally. Brisbane have scored more than those two sides this season. Newcastle have scored more goals than those two sides this season. So only Perth has done any better. Anyway, that was just to say that, things aren't always what they seem. And of course, hope and resting on your laurels and not being vigilant are always the things that come back to bite you most on the arse. For example, and I'll just give you a couple of little bits and pieces from around the world over the last 2 weeks. In 2025, so about 10 days ago, in Italy, a couple well into their 40s, the wife wasn't feeling very well one evening. The husband headed off to the pharmacy to get some stuff for flu and, a bit of Sudafed or something. When he came back, she had given birth to their first child. How about that, people? Another one in France this time, where a 50-year-old woman, or a little bit older, divorcee, by the name of Anne, thought she was in a relationship, a long-distance SMS relationship with Brad Pitt. She actually paid for him to have hospital treatment in the US because he convinced her that his funds were tied up during his divorce from Angelina Jolie. And she paid 830,000 euros into a Turkish bank account so that he could receive treatment. And all of this was with photos of him in hospital. And I love you, I love you, I love you. Before, of course, it all came out that this was a Nigerian phone scam and that she had been got. So let this be an important reminder to all of you people. Do not part with your hard-earned cash or your emotions for someone sending you photoshopped photos of a celebrity on your mobile phone. Having said that, we are a little bit blessed in the A-League because the A-League is what it is. To quote the eminent Italian philosopher Gennaro Gattuso, sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit. Malachias, as the great man said. That's right, to paraphrase Ellie Menjum, who was actually paraphrasing A-League Off Air in the A-League season promo, it may be shit, but it's our shit. It was shit this weekend, and we love it for that just as much, don't we, Daniel McBreen?
We do. You can't have the cake and eat it all the time as well, can you? Sometimes you've just got to leave it there and go, we didn't make the best one this week. And it was, let's not say, there's not going to be too many highlight reels come out of this weekend after what we've seen there. Yeah.
Well, Melbourne Victory fans might feel a little hard done by that one.
Well, to be fair,
because it started
First half.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It started well, and the Big Blue was not a bad place to start. I've moved away from Twitter, or at least I'm trying to. It's not easy because soccer Twitter is still a great source of shit, but I'm on Blue Sky or Soccer BS now, which I think is a nice name. If we could, if anyone wants to come over, for the moment, Soccer BS is there are a few people there. There's a bit of conversation, but not much on Dino Arslanagic, for example, this week on Soccer BS. I think Soccer Twitter was still the place to be for that one. But we will be talking about, in terms of expectations and sometimes maybe shit and how things aren't always what you seem. I've been teasing you all about how I'm going to tell you how you can buy the Champions League final. I had a chat to Macca, and I thought today I might tell the story just because I think it's a funny one. And then on Soccer BS, someone asked us, Macca, if we'd explain a little bit about commentating and how we do it and what the idea is. And I guess that fits in with sometimes maybe shit sometimes, and what our role is when we're calling a game as well. Even though talking about commentary goes a little bit against my philosophy of commentary, which is that we're a bit like referees. We should be invisible. But anyway, that's all the prefaces. I haven't sworn yet, so fucking hell, that's not good. Let's get it on with the start of this week's episode. I said last week, it was funny, I was talking to our executive producer, and he is an avid listener of the pod, and he said to me, you said there were only 5 games and it was going to be a short pod, and how good that was. And he immediately went and looked at the duration, 1 hour 24.
Yeah.
And and so we've got no guest this week.
Well,
and only 5 games.
That's it. We were
Surely.
Public holiday today, so we thought people
public holiday
just relaxing, so we didn't bother anyone to come on this week, and we thought it would give you a chance to wax lyrical about your little stories.
Exactly. All sorts of shit.
Yeah.
Plus the fact we only have 8 goals. It was a shit round. We should be able to really rifle through these side, the football part of it, even though that's what we're here for. Big Blue, Friday night. Great to hear. I know a good friend of ours, Grace Gill, on the call. I think first and foremost, that was very refreshing. I know you would have loved to have been there as well, Macca and Harv, but great to see Grace getting a big game and calling it alongside Simon Hill. Thought it was. I think they both did their job perfectly, as you'd expect from 2 professionals. But to talk about the game. 2-0, revenge for Melbourne victory, and 2 really good goals. Nikos Virgos has been a little bit like the invisible man for large parts of this season. That was an awesome header at the near post.
Wasn't it? Mate, running that way and then guiding the ball back the way he did, it was a fantastic header, and they were good for it, victory. Particularly in the first half, I thought it was a really entertaining game, but they were really turning it on. I've been looking back and trying to find what's the longest it's taken for a victory coach to get a win, and I think 7 games was the longest. I can't find a coach that's gone longer at the start of the tenure of Melbourne victory to get a win as 7 games. So I'm sure Arthur Dillis would be fucking wiping the sweat off the brow because it was starting to get a little bit worrisome there when we know what the Melbourne victory supporters expect, and that's to be winning all the time, which is fair enough with one of the biggest clubs, if not the biggest club in the country. But yeah, they turned it on, and we've spoken about victory, how they've controlled games and they've created chances and they haven't been putting them away. But that header was a fucking class header. And you felt that it just felt like a bit of pressure came off them. And I know that we've seen them before, that, that they've conceded goals and all that kind of stuff. But it just, I don't know, the manner in the header, it was a good goal, the excitement in the Big Blue. You just felt like, okay, they're going to finally get this here and get that win. The second half fell away a bit in terms of quality, didn't it? Let's be honest. It was an exciting first half. The second half was a bit like, all right, they just sort of, both teams were sort of just coughing it up.
But Macca, given the way second halves have been going for Melbourne victory, was this not, you can understand it coming from them, like just thinking, fucking hell, we've been got so many times. Yeah. Seriously now. We've had it. The first half, as you're saying, was good. Victory were good. It was going to script almost. So everyone was thinking Sydney are going to come back here.
Well, yeah,
And
exactly.
and that
the way
didn't
it's
happen.
gone for victory in particular. But yeah, you're right. It might have been a case of let's just sturdy it up here and make sure we don't fucking throw this one away. And then Bruno obviously getting the sealer at the end. And he's joining a long list of, I spoke to you about this off air, Robbie, a long list of players now who are scoring goals and taking their shirt off. If I was a coach, I'd be just smashing fines down for that now, because a yellow card, as you get longer in the season, you come towards finals and might be important. And all these guys are taking their shirts off and getting yellow cards. And when they're needed down the line and they're suspended for a game, it's just annoying me now. Just because Jordan Lawton did it with that wonderful goal and got away, and then was sort of given a pass by John Aloisi, everyone else is joining the party. I'm like, no, this could come to bite you in the ass towards the end of the season. So stop taking your shirts off, guys, and come up with something a little bit more original.
Well, especially since it's fucking embarrassing with your GPS bra underneath.
I know, when
you've got half cut off tattoos. You've got, I mean, you're not. What was her name? Chastain, the American who scored the winning penalty in the Women's World Cup in 1999 and took it off. It was the first time we saw, the women taking the shirt off and the bra. Brandy Chastain, I think her name was. Anyway, that was iconic. For the guys at the moment with the, it's not. Look, I'm not going to get into any sort of debate about the worth of a bra, but this is it looks a bit weird. The lads with their like GPS bras.
That's not the bit that annoys me. The bit that annoys me is that you get a yellow card for it. And, come round 20, 25, 26 when they're needed and they might be suspended. And what if you need, your players then? So John Aloisi gave Lawton a pass. No more fucking passes.
Well, just the fact that Lawton got a red, I think might efface that first one anyway. So he had to miss the next game. That was his suspension. But I don't think the yellow cards count in terms of the yellow card count.
Well, they will for everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not sent off.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you're sent off. Exactly. No, I agree with you. Anyway, it was trying to case. So Bruno then settled the points with that fantastic goal. Could have been a different story had Roderick Miranda been penalised for his ankle tap on Anas Waim.
I totally forgot.
Macca, you headed to X during halftime about this one, saying what's going on here. For me, it's confused because at first the ref gives the pen. And so that's then not a red card. And then because of the break or whatever, he says, so there's this contact. He doesn't jig that there's the denial of a clear goal scoring opportunity because you don't have the double sanction anymore. If you give away a penalty while not doing an unsportsmanlike thing, there's no more red card. It would have been a harsh send-off, but by the law of the game, he's denied Anas Waim a shot at goal, which is all it has to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a one-on-one with the keeper or, a clear one-on-one. It's a goal-scoring opportunity for Anas Waim. It's denied by the ankle tap, whether intentional or not, by Roderick Miranda, and he got away just with the yellow.
Yeah, and, I think at first I got caught up in is it inside the box, is it outside the box? And it wasn't until I just sort of stopped and went, well, it's outside the box. So there was a big debate as well, because I put on there, should it be a red for that? And then in this big debate, some people were saying, well, no, he didn't mean to do it, so it shouldn't even be a foul. Then there was other people saying there's no contact. And I'm like, well, he doesn't just fucking trip himself. And as a footballer, you've been in these positions many, many times. And I think I spoke to you about, Robbie, where I said, as an attacker, when you would be chasing a defender, if you crossed over the back of their legs and their line, you didn't mean to do it, but you touched their foot. You've broke their line and you've interfered with their going. It was a free kick every single time. Without fail. Yeah. And you knew it. As soon as you clipped them, you knew it. It's going to be a foul. And you didn't mean to. You were just trying to get across that other side or whatever. It's the same here. He's running behind. He's running to the line where his foot connects with the shin of Miranda, Waheem's does. So, and if he doesn't fall, I can't see how he's not just going to be shooting across the goal directly. As soon as he gets to that ball, he's just going to fire that ball into try and score in the far post. So I was like, I started thinking,
and still the angle is good.
Yeah,
it's a good angle for that
from
strike.
A player of his quality, you're thinking he potentially can score there. It's going to, he's going to at least trouble the goalkeeper into a save. So I don't see why, if it's outside the box, it shouldn't have been a red card for denying a clear goal scoring opportunity. Because it was going to be a clear goal scoring opportunity, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think they got away with it a little.
Great goal from Bruno anyway to finish the game off. As I said at the top, revenge for Melbourne victory after their 3-0 loss to Sydney earlier where Mashashwood was sent off in the first 15 minutes. We haven't had really this discussion yet, but I think it comes back a little bit to the idea of, someone's expectations that they bring to a football match or to a season. Sydney FC fans at the start of the season were licking their chops about this, thinking, fucking hell, Douglas Costa, Anas Waim, Klimala, Leo Senna, we are looking the business here. Joe Lolly, Caceres, the kids off the bench, the
Max
whole package.
Burgess.
Max Burgess, Paddy Wood. No, and what's happened is, in terms of their expectations, which is what hurts them all the more, I think, at the moment, is that they just cannot put a result together on the pitch, and they're outside the six at the moment, and they are conceding a lot of goals. A lot of goals. Hayden Matthews has just left. They're hoping to secure Popovic alone until the end of the season now. But is that official or has that been done?
I haven't
heard
anything.
if that's got across the line yet.
Weekend, but does you see lots of questions about Sydney FC? You've got your Segachits and your Kacharskis, and now they've got Josh Sotirio in, which I found to be a strange signing, because the mail is that, Max Burgess has been told that he's surplus to requirements because they've either got your big foreigners or young ones that are going to come through and they want to sell them on. So then they go and get Josh Sotirio. I'm like, that doesn't fit the bill for me there at all. I don't understand that. And if anything, it's taking time off, your Kacharskis to come on who have been delivering when they've been brought on. They're looking a little bit, as you say, with Matthews going now at the back. There's another space of a player that, now they're looking even more fragile at the back, I guess, with, numbers. You've got Ryan Grant playing as a centre-back rather than in his favoured position at right-back. Obviously, they haven't got Douglas Costa because he's been injured, but this season that we all thought at the start of the season, who is going to keep up with Sydney FC? Because on paper, you just looked at that team and went, holy shit, they are stacked. And it's just not working. Through one thing or another, they've changed up, I think, a little bit the way they've played in the recent weeks, where they've, two more deeper lying midfielders rather than just all go press. They seem to be sitting a little bit more into a block more often in that mid block rather than just always pressing at the front. And, maybe it's a case of they're like, well, we can't do that. I don't know. But you're right. Like, they conceded 26 goals in 15 games. That's way too many goals if you want to be near the top end of the table. And it's just not working. The Sydney FC fans are sort of starting to vent their frustrations a bit as well, aren't they?
Yeah. The you fuck off hashtag you fuck off is back and is starting to gain a little bit of traction. Having said that, it's not the end of the world for Sydney either. They're still part of that group sitting just outside. They're closer than.
Well, I've got the table
who
in
is it?
front of me. They're 3 points. They're one win away from third. So. It's not like
so. It's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world, but that's the beauty again of our A League, that it's such a tight league that one week the wheels can be falling off and everyone can be calling for your head, and the next week you get a good win and you're right back in the mix again, and you're like, oh, it seems like a lifetime ago that they were. Everyone was saying this is the worst week ever.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about two other sides that we thought was there worst ever start to a season and suddenly still find themselves, 2 wins off third place then, I guess the case must be. Saturday saw Wellington Phoenix take on the Central Coast Mariners. Now, this time last year, they were 1-2 in the league. Mm-hmm. They were 1-2 in the league right till the end of the season. And here, they are desperate for points just to stay in the hunt for that fifth, sixth place if they can get there. They are still in the hunt. Macca, this was a game, as I said off the top, a 6th scoreless draw of the season between two sides who've only scored 15 in 14 this season. It's crazy to think that last year, and the last 2 years even for Wellington and the Mariners, they've been outstanding going forward. They've been able to find goals everywhere. Here, the closest they came really were a couple of penalty shouts. One in the first half, both on Nagasawa for Wellington Phoenix. The first one by Kaltak, the second in the second half by Harrington. If you're listening to Spooners, shout out Jacob Spoonley. Both clear penalties painted on during the call. I don't think this should hide the fact that both sides are really struggling in front of goal. Yep. I mean, I think there were 10 shots each, but only 3 on target each. Defences, it's not even defences on top here. Sainsbury didn't travel. Neither defence has looked amazing either so far this season, which is why they are where they are. And we thought perhaps they've turned the corner. Perhaps, Wellington with the win in MacArthur, the Mariners with a good win last time out. Perhaps they've turned the corner. It hasn't been the case.
No. And we know how much Wellington relies on Costa Barbarouses. He scores a big chunk of their goals. The way they play suits that as well. They try to isolate him to make that transition runs in behind or counter-attack, whatever you want to call it. Central Coast, they're just very lackluster going forward at the moment. I don't know, probably the broken record we keep saying, but they are really struggling to be a real cohesive unit to create real meaningful chances or opportunities for anyone in their teams week in, week out. The penalty shouts, I would probably go, I think the Brian Kaltak one should have been a penalty. I think when Brian turns, he goes for the ball and he comes behind. He trails his leg behind, and he leaves that trailing leg for one reason, and that is to try and stop the player getting past him. And Nagasawa,
and there's clear contact.
Yeah, he trips.
But Nagasawa, he stays on his feet just. Yeah, and I know we don't like to say if he goes down.
Yeah, but
and there is a threshold, especially and for giving penalties as well. He was able to stay on his feet, but not really.
No.
And not enough to then get the shot away. For me, that was a pen.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And you're right. And this is where you're thinking you don't want we want to get diving out of the game, but the ref has to see that trailing leg that was left there for the sole purpose of stopping his run forward, and he left it dragging out as he went to go across behind him, impedes him. It stops him getting the shot away that he probably would have got. So it's a penalty for mine. That should have been a penalty.
Yeah.
The other one, and we just had a look at it before we came on air just to have another look, is that Harrington, I actually think Harrington goes in for the ball and then he's not getting there. So he actually, leg starts to come back and Nagasawa steps on his foot, and that's when he falls down. Now, I would be inclined to say that one's not a penalty, for that reason. I think it's the action as his foot is coming away and he steps down on his foot, and that's where he loses his balance. I guess you could argue and say, well, he's thrown his legs in around him and that's in his line as well, and you've stepped. So, but I would say the
probably
first
if it had been given. Yeah,
I wouldn't
if
have.
It had been given, you could have gone with it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it wasn't given, and I'd say, okay, it wasn't. But if it was given, you'd probably go, yeah, I can see why. The first one with Brian Kaltak, to me, was 100% penalty. Second one, I can see either side of the story, to be honest.
I think the second one. Yeah.
And both coaches, both parties have an argument that you could go, I can see your argument on that one.
Yeah, exactly. I think the other thing is Nagasawa in the second one, the way he's stepping, because his body is facing away from goal as well. He's not in a shooting stride. He's not going to hit the next one. He's trying to shield the ball. and almost, look for a bit of contact maybe. Anyway, not much else to say about this one. Parayich Cullen made a good save at the end to deny Ashige. The only big thing out of this game for me, and I thought it the week before when I saw him come off the bench, Finn Roa-Conchi. He is rocking a pretty solid moustache, which is a sort of browny red, but he's got a serious, tight, same coloured, permy look. He looks like Graham Arnold when he was playing in the early 1980s. A sort of Lionel Richie tribute. Go and check it out. I would ask our long-suffering producer AJ for the YouTube. Can we not pull up a picture of Finn Roa-Conchi with Arnie there, and maybe even a Lionel Richie or someone else from the early 80s, member of the Australian cricket team or something, or the New Zealand cricket team maybe. Maybe that's where the tribute comes from. They were shit back in the 80s, the Kiwis, at cricket. That was always funny. All right. Next up, after this one, Macca, you were on the call. Newcastle versus Perth. Now, the first time these two sides met, everyone thought, whoa, Newcastle, playing like Real Madrid with that 4-0 win in Perth. Neither side has really managed to kick on since then. Perhaps Newcastle have garnered a few more points along the way. 2-2 in this one. I think I heard Benny Homer say in the call that we are still 9 months without a home win for Newcastle. Yeah. Look, broken record time again, which I don't think we want to go there, but this is all symptomatic of the problem there. What can we say about Perth?
Well, to be fair, in this game, I will say Perth hardly had a shout the whole game. At halftime, if the score was 3 or 4-0 to the Jets, you would have literally gone and went, yeah, that's fair, because they absolutely dominated the game in the first half. They hit the woodwork 3 times in the first half. Young Will Dobson, who started his first A-League game, he's the local product, was fantastic, was involved in a lot of stuff. I thought Clayton Taylor...
Should have scored?
Well, I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
Eli Adams, Clayton Taylor, Ben Gibson and Will Dobson, I thought, were outstanding in the first half. They were creating all kinds of problems for Perth. Will Dobson has a podium finish for the miss of the season because how the fuck he managed to miss that. And I said in the comms as well that he'll be laying in bed tonight, no matter the result, staring at the ceiling going, how the fuck did I miss that goal? It sort of just got stuck under his foot and it just rolled across the line, across the goal, and you were like, I was in disbelief how he missed it, and that.
But did he play for it? I was at the stadium preparing for the next game. He did.
So it was clear. So the ball came across.
Because it came off the post, didn't it?
Yeah, the ball came across. The defender went to clear it, hit him, went up, hit the post, and as it came back, he just went to step in and tap it as it hit the ground, and it got sort of stuck under his foot on the grass, and he mishit it. And it's up there for miss of the season. It could well be the winner. But in saying that,
there is competition.
Perth got down the other end once, and Adam Taggart, with his years of experience, as the ball was bounced, he just bodied shoulder to shoulder Mark Natter and absolutely left him for dead. Like, it was just too easy. Turned and got a strike away. It hit the arm of the defender. I can't remember who it was at the time now. And it was one of those ones where you're like, what? The defender couldn't do anything about it, but it was going towards goal and it could have been going in. So you can, it was a penalty, but you felt for the defender because his arms were down by his side. And anyway, so it was a pen and they score and it's 1-1. And how it was 1-1 at halftime, you just couldn't believe it. And then the second half, look, again, you're sort of like, they got the goal from Taylor, and Perth were better in the second half. Let's be honest, they were better, but Newcastle seemed to be the only team really that was going to push to get the win. And when they went in front, you thought, okay, they're going to see this out. But after having the last 5 out of the last 6 games being 2-2 again in these two teams, you thought, this just can't finish 2-2, can it? And lo and behold, it did. Joel Asmo was good when he came on. He caught brought some energy, and possibly could have won it because it wasn't for Ryan Scott right at the end. Costa Grozos, a poor clearance or missed clearance, but it was Taggart again. They got the assist by blocking Costa Grozos' clearance and his return or his first game for Perth. Good goal. For Lockie Wales, who was in the right spot at the right time to tap it away. And it was, to be honest, it was a game that Perth would have walked away going, thank fuck we got a point out of that. Rob Stanton will just be pulling his hair out going, how the fuck have we not won that game?
Which is probably where he was a lot last season as well. I was looking at the ladder. Remember, we looked and they had, I think, 11 draws last season, and a lot of the narrative around Newcastle could have been different if perhaps they'd even 3 or 4 of them, they'd picked up an extra 8 points in the season. It would have changed so much. This season, they've turned all those draws into losses so far, and that's been the big difference for them so far this season.
Yeah.
Okay, time to shout out a stat, courtesy of Andy Howe, our official statistician from the Australian and A-League Bureau of Statistics. This one's on Perth players. With the club debuts of Patrick Wood, Lockie Wales and Yuto Mizao at Perth Glory on Saturday, 33 players have now taken the field for the Glory so far this season. This is a new Australian National League record, so this is going back all the way to 1977 for the most players used by a club in its first 15 games of the season. The most players to ever play in an entire National League First Division season, NSL and A-League combined, is 37 by the Western Sydney Wanderers in the 2014-15 campaign. So, Perth Glory need to find just 4 more players to get onto the pitch in the next, 11 matches that they have left, 12 matches this year, to set a new record for the most ever players used. We know all the debates that come with that in terms of stability. If you look at the sides that are generally doing well, it's sides that don't use many players. I think actually Newcastle don't use many players either, but that may be for the exception that proves the rule. Perth have now used 262 different players in its A-League history, by far the most of any A-League club. Second most are Newcastle with 238. So 24 players less over that period. Of the 7 existing foundation clubs, Adelaide have used the least with 195. So there you go, 70 players less used for Adelaide. And I think Adelaide aren't using many players again this season as well. Familiar theme. Just a little side note from Andy, as there always is. Yuta Mizao became the 9th Japanese player to make an appearance in the A-League this season, after Newcastle's Kota Mizunuma also debuted in the same match, Glory, Jets v Glory. 9 is by far the highest number of Japanese imports to play in a season. The previous highest was 6. And last season there were only 3 Japanese players in the league. Can you name them? In the league last year? Yeah.
Was Danzaki?
Yeah.
Who's the other one? Tomoki Imai.
And yeah, easy. I'll ask you to name all 9 soon that have taken the field this season.
Okay.
There you might struggle a little bit more.
Will I?
Perth Glory have recently signed Takuya Akamoto as well, who will make it 10 players from Japan if and when he makes his A-League debut this season. That was a stat chat, courtesy of Andy Howe, our official statistician.
On that
next
stat,
game up.
Hang on that stat.
Yeah,
one thing I forgot to talk about in the Newcastle game was Mizunuma. All the talk was about his delivery was fantastic. Well, he certainly showed that. He came on and put 4 corners on the 6-yard spot that were on a dime. So I think he'll be a real weapon for Newcastle going forward on set pieces, corners, free kicks. Yeah, he was Yeah, you could see the delivery was exceptional. And they probably should have scored from it too. Wellersol had a header on 6 yards out, free header from a corner that he put in. Anyway, I just wanted to give him a mention because he looks like he could be
fair call as well.
It.
Set pieces are obviously a massively important part of the game these days as well. Have been for probably 20 years. MacArthur versus Melbourne City. This was the Saturday night game. Again, not a whole lot to say about this one. Macca, I don't know how much of this one you caught after your game and larging it up around McDonald Jones as you normally do after
I went home
a home game. Okay, very good. And you had that little 40 minutes in between end of game and kickoff to get there as well.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Football Tonight on Network 10. So, Valère Germain, to cut a long story short, got his 27th goal. He is now the all-time leading goal scorer for MacArthur. He probably should have had a couple in this game, to be fair. This has been a problem for MacArthur of late. They've been scoring some great goals, generally by Jed Drew, to get them out of tight situations. Otherwise, they've been paying for their profligacy in front of goal by losing matches that they probably should win. A 7th assist of the season for Jed Drew on this one. Melbourne City, they lack punch. They look like they're just running out of a little bit of steam and that power. They had that buzz of the kids coming in and the kids doing really well for so long, but now it looks like the grind of it is just getting the better of them. Matt Leckie came on in the second half, and he is a beast and a player capable of turning a game. I'm sure there are lots of happy City fans and probably a happy Tony Popovich, who was sitting in the crowd for this one as well, watching that. Marco Tilio also came on. Before we chat about MacArthur losing players and about to lose a whole lot more as well, Macca, this one then, it was an entertaining enough game, but for mine, a few too many mistakes, technical and just rushing things. A lot of kids on the pitch that looked not overawed by the occasion, but not full of the confidence and that we've seen from some kids this year.
Yeah, and I think you probably hit the nail on the head that, you come in with that youthful exuberance and you're all excited and then now the graph starts to come and it's just starting to, okay, we've got to work hard. And it's not that they're not, it's just sort of acclimatizing to the level and people start to see how these kids play as well. And they just seem a little off kilter, don't they? Like it's just waned a little bit, but the fact that Leckie and Tilio will come back will be a huge boost to Melbourne City. I know they're probably going to have to work their way back in, but the timing couldn't have come any more perfect because it felt like they were riding that big high and it was just starting to tilt now where it's becoming a little bit of a graft. I actually didn't mind the game as a whole. I thought you're right. I think MacArthur definitely were the better. I think that they created the better chances and probably should have had more goals. I'm trying to think back to the goal was fantastic in my opinion, where Valère Germain actually picked the ball up deep, didn't he? And then when he played the ball forward, you just didn't expect him to be the one on the end of it because it went forward quite quickly, and then all of a sudden he just turned on the rocket boosters and went flying around past Jed Drew, who just rolled it into him. It was a good finish. It was a really good goal actually, and did that make him the all-time MacArthur scorer now in all competitions? Yeah, all competitions.
So he's just overtaken Ulysses Davila. Yeah.
So, but he's they've obviously lost Pio, but him, Drew, Yarkalish, Holman, it's a formidable front four, and they do combine well. And I love the way when they go fast, and they spread that ball quickly from one side to the other, and you can see them going quickly, and they are entertaining to watch at times when they get it right. They can be. Yeah. I'm sure Millet thinks they can be extremely frustrating at times too when they can't quite get it together. And I've spoke to Millet and he said sometimes that consistency. He said it's just hard to put your finger on why it doesn't work sometimes. They've definitely got the quality there going forward. But look, they did enough in this game to get the win, and probably could have won by a little bit more.
Yep, I think so. Let's chat about players who are not A-League players, but famously said to the police that they were A-League players. Dino Arslanigic has gone.
Compassionate grounds.
I feel very sorry for Dino if this whole situation is just a bit of a blow up. Apparently he'd had a bit too much to drink, but the fact that he thought, that coming from, a cup winner with Standard Liège or whatever, if you're a football player in Belgium or in Europe, that does come with something. Rude awakening for Dino here to say. Were they spraying him with pepper spray or something? I mean, he must have been in the wrong place at the wrong time, surely. Or, I have no idea what happened. All I've read are the quotes and seen, the journo trying to harass him as he walked out of court. Long story short, he did threaten police officers, which was by the quotes.
Is it, really?
Exactly, a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
So that's Dino. Dino's gone. Who knows where he will head up next? He's been playing the last couple of years in the Middle East and in Saudi and the UAE. Ollie Jones has also gone. Now, this one was kept a little more under wraps. Ariath Pjol obviously went for over $1 million to Real Salt Lake in the MLS. Great deal for him and for the club, I think, in that respect. A little bit perhaps more concerning for the club, or for at least for coach in Mile Stojovski, is Ollie Jones, who wasn't there at the game, and we heard he was on a plane to Europe to finalise his deal. It turns out, or it sounds like that's going to be to Randers in Denmark. The problem is you've lost Arslanigic and Jones, who 2 weeks ago were your first choice central defensive pairing. And now you've got Tommy Uzkok, certainly a great servant for the club. He played his 100th match, becoming just the third player to play his 100th match for the club, and Matt Yerman. Now, that is a very experienced central defensive pairing. They've got a youngster called Demevsky on the bench, a defensive player, but perhaps not necessarily a central defender. And to add to that, so you've lost those 3 players in the window so far, and they've got 4, the most of any club, or equal most of any club in the A-League, heading off to the Under-20 Asian Cup. So Franz Deli, who started the game, won't be there. Bosniak, who got the winner against Wellington, won't be there. Randazzo. This is 7 players who within the next couple of weeks were in Mile Stojovski's squad and are not any longer. And there's no word at the moment of who's coming in, or if anyone coming in. So if you're in the
didn't this happen
Northbridge Bulls Academy, clean your boots.
Yeah.
You could be up soon.
Well, didn't they this happened to them in the Australia Cup run as well, where they had 4 players away with the national youth team? Is that Australia?
And they played Adelaide with Nestor Irankunda, if you remember. And Irankunda had refused
to go.
His call-up.
That's right.
Words to that effect.
Yeah.
Alexander Robinson, the reserve goalkeeper, is the other, the 4th.
Well, that's a lot of players to lose. And how long have we got left on the window? Transfer window?
Yeah, well, a little while. The European window, which is where players will be leaving to for the most part, is the 3rd of Feb, I think, right. So still another week.
Still another week ago. And what's our A-League one?
It'll be another 10 days after that. I think we started on the 16th of January, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did actually.
So
there's still time to get some players in. But yeah.
Yeah, but they have to be out of contract, for example. If you want to bring anyone outside of another confederation's window, they have to be out of contract by the end of the window. If you see what I mean. If you want to find someone playing in a secondary league in Europe, they have to be out of contract by the 3rd of Feb.
I don't think so. I think it's if you're going to that country as well. People will correct us on here. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong, but I was pretty sure that if your country you're going to is in the window as well, then that's fine. So if it was a Feb 5th...
Yeah, but they won't be.
If it's Feb 5 and the Australian window is still open, that counts as a window. It doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure, because I'm sure I had this conversation last year with someone about a player who'd come.
In fact, you could be right, because that's why like Turkey keep the window open. Yeah, because Turkey keep their window open an extra week or two for all the players that don't get the move they wanted.
Yeah,
like your Victor Osimhen or Mauro Icardi's, who then go and sign for Galatasaray.
Today, so.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, well, let's not get into that debate. That is a question for Mile Sturjovski, not us.
Yes,
to have to to worry about. Yeah, there was a last game. Western Sydney versus Auckland. 1-0 Auckland. All right, that'll do us this week. Okay, so in this one, Macca, Nader Moreno, got the winner in the 95th minute. Him again. He did it off the bench a week earlier with his first touch against Adelaide. He scored. This one took a little bit longer to get it, but he did it again. He's a little bit of a last-minute hero for this side, the Colombian. It was their first ever meeting. Both sides had good chances. Auckland do look a good team. They look solid. Yeah. They look strong. Western Sydney did create. Sapsford, Milanovic. There was no Borrello in this one. They do create chances, but they're just lacking a little something, really, at the moment, Western Sydney. And Auckland, again, probably dominated enough to deserve the points, even if it was really last minute and looked like it was heading for a scoreless draw.
Yeah, and they're making a habit of scoring late goals all season, haven't they, Auckland? They can go the distance. I think I even heard on the comms, I don't know if it was Simon or Harps, saying that Auckland seemed to be more energetic for more time in the game. They seemed to be, moving more and looked like they were a lot more energetic than Western Sydney, which is a credit to Stevie Corrigan and his team, and the fact that they can keep popping up at the end of games and scoring, goals that matter, is a credit to them, really, to be honest. And they are a team that, when you look at that defensive outfit they've got, they are formidable. Pineacre and Tommy Smith at the moment are bossing against things. My cat's had enough and wants to fucking get in or out of something. But then you throw in, De Vries and Sakai as well, and then you've got Vestrada in front of them protecting them. They're fucking bosses, aren't they?
Gallegos
big, strong. They read the play well. And they've got players who can create things now. Guillermo Mai, Moreno. These guys are creating and scoring goals, and that was always been my thing with them, is that have they got that goal scorer? But they're sharing it around. They're finding ways to win games. I tell you what, when you throw Paulson at the back behind that defensive line as well, there's a reason they haven't conceded many goals. It's because they are not only are they big, strong, and read the game well and all that stuff, but they are well organised and disciplined as well. When they lose that ball, they are into position very quickly defensively and as a unit. And they look good. There was good chances for both teams, to be honest, to score goals. Milanovic got that runaway, and it just seemed like the ball got stuck under him. And he's slow, but he seemed to slow down well before he lost that ball as well. And you were like, I don't know what was going there, because he's been so confident at the start of the season and doing so well that you just thought as soon as he got away, he was going to sprint away and at least, you'd think, put it away. But it just seemed to get stuck under his feet, and he slowed right down, and then it was just all a bit. And I didn't see the pregame for this one, so I wasn't sure what's. But Brillante was playing in the back line as well for Western Sydney. What's the story there with all the? Have they got that many injuries? I didn't hear why.
Yeah. They've had them, and they've been struggling with injuries for a long time at the back.
I know Tay Wook.
So Pelikanos was back, but he's a midfielder. He was playing in the centre at the back for a number of weeks, but he's a midfielder as well. So they have had.
I know they want a centre back. They want a Marcelo type of player to be dominant in the back and lead there. But it seems that every time you go onto a social media now, that all the centre backs that you think might be the Australian ones that are going to come back, talking, you hear of Sydney want one and Western Sydney want one. They seem to be sort of saying, well, they're not coming back to Australia. So it'd be interesting to see where they find one, because they're going to need one. They need one hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking. Auckland, 8 clean sheets. So that is 8 in 14 clean sheets. I'm just seeing what the record is. I think the record, it might be something massive, actually, the clean sheet record in a season. From one of those great Sydney
16 or
Sydney FC seasons, exactly.
Something big, yeah.
Something ridiculous. Yeah, like 17, did you say, or something?
Like that, 16, I think. Oh.
Yeah.
I think Danny Vukovic only conceded 2 goals or something that year that they won the league.
Yeah. Now, we did have in this game a contender. Now, the competition is fierce for miss of the season. Logan Rogerson at the back post. It was cross in from Mai again, who I think is really starting to to grow into a really good player. Yeah. I agree with you, Macca. He was playing as a striker at the start, and it just wasn't. He doesn't have the pace or the power. Matta is up front now. He's got power. He's got power. A big boy. This was Matta v Matta, actually, in this one. I like him, except the fact I don't think he's going to get you the 15 goals necessarily, but he is power, he's big, he's a handful in the box. He had some nice touches as well. There was one little layoff for Mai inside the first minute, which Mai then turned Brillante and drew a good save. But Mai again was involved. He crossed to the back post, and Rogerson just hit the side netting from, a 45-degree angle, 2 metres out. And everyone was like, oh, my God, miss of the season. How quickly have we forgotten Jason Guerrier earlier this year?
Oh, yes.
From literally 30 centimetres out, underneath the crossbar.
Yeah, well, I think that's where Will Dobson was about as well. So I saw that one, and they did lament that there could be one of the goals misses of the season, but Harps did throw the caveat in. He was past the back post, which I agree with. He wasn't actually inside the goal mouth. He was just to the side of it. It was a bad miss, but I still don't think it's going to get on the top 3 worst finishes in the season. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was also, and just to, because it's always fun to revisit these things, the Noah Bodic header onto the crossbar.
Yes, 100%.
That's got to be up there. And we can fully now revel in the terrible Bodic miss, because he scored a number of great goals since then as well. We're still waiting on Pat Wood to score a couple of crackers, just so that when we can really really what we really think.
Yeah, he was quite anonymous
about that one. Anyway, first game with Perth, but hopefully it will come off for him. Okay, is there anything more to add about that one?
No, I don't think so, mate.
Western Sydney they've just lost their way again after a good spell where it looked like they were, and they do have injury problems at the moment, but everyone is in this January. There have been matches all over the place, up and down from one end to the other, all over the country. Let's have a look at the ladder then, quickly. Auckland, 2 points clear of Adelaide, but Adelaide have a game in hand, 30 points to 28 at the moment. Adelaide still that just one loss all season. MacArthur, 4 points behind Adelaide, 6 points off Auckland, and they've played twice more than Adelaide and once more than Auckland. Also level on 24 points, so similar situation as MacArthur for Melbourne City and Western United. Melbourne Victory round out the 6, 2 points further back. The last 3 there, City, United and Victory, have all played 14 games. That's one more than Sydney, who are outside the 6 with 21 points, 9 points off Auckland FC. Further 3 points back, and this is where it's starting to get dangerous for the Western Sydney Wanderers, Wellington Phoenix and Central Coast Mariners. Now, getting dangerous for Western Sydney perhaps because they're dropping points and are now 4 points outside of the 6. Wellington Phoenix and Central Coast Mariners perhaps still trying to fight their way back in after poor starts to the season. So it's still dangerous for them, but if they can maybe somehow continue to turn things around, their momentum is going the other way perhaps than Western Sydney. Newcastle, 11 points from 13 games. Perth Glory, 9 points from 15 games, just 2 wins and 10 losses for them. And Brisbane Roar, 5 points from a win and 2 draws. They had not the bye. The bye was with Western United this weekend, but their game against Adelaide has been pushed back to April. Any news out of Brisbane? We haven't had a Brisbane chat. I've heard just more murmurings that perhaps, something could yet happen with the coaching position there, that perhaps there's still a bit of musical chairs to come, but for the moment, it's they must be reveling in the fact that they didn't have a game and a bit of silence up there, the Kazakhs.
Yeah. No, I haven't heard too much either. Just the usual rumour mill that, how long can it last sort of thing. But no, it's been pretty quiet. With, like you say, they're not in the focus this week, so everyone's sort of just
out of sight, out of mind.
That's it.
Are we on Wednesday? Are you on Wednesday? Oh, no, I'm with Grace.
No.
Look ahead. Any midweek games?
Is there midweek games? No.
Very quickly. Sorry, just to once again go with the sheer professionalism of this setup.
I'm in studio on Saturday. That's all I've got this week.
I'm commentating. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Yeah. I'm commentating Wednesday, but now my internet won't load. Here we go. Wednesday night, Western United versus the Central Coast Mariners. The only midweek game for the men. And then round 17 next week. All right. Western United versus Central Coast. What do you reckon? In one word.
Draw.
Or one team? Western United at Ironbark at home.
Draw.
Mariners are the only other team to win at Ironbark Fields in the history of that venue.
Fucking draw.
Yeah, draw. Okay. I'm going, don't know.
I'm
Western
going.
United. All right. Good stuff, people. Well done, all you fans, for watching the A-League and being rusted on and hanging out there. Thank you for listening to our rambling shit as well and celebrating the best league in the world. And we'll be rambling on in a week's time, unless this whole thing just grinds to a halt, which is never, you never know.
Well, it's
just
never
kidding.
Too far away.
All right, well played. Thanks, Macca.